All right, so what I did was I ordered a bunch of the same material, different years, just to see if there would be any difference. The idea is that the tea from the same place ought to taste similar, but the year ought to change it a little bit. And the reason why is because, again, I'm looking for, you know, the perfect aged raw pu'er, and so I need to know whether or not it's the place that I like, and then if it is the place that I like, do the years make any difference, right? So what I have is a 2012 Wu Liang. The one from the last video is the 2014, and it did take some getting used to, but I did get used to it and I really enjoyed it. I got the cold brew to 3 infusions. The hot brew, again, not my favorite, but it did pass the vibe check, meaning that I was able to take this out and it got kind of warm, you know, but it didn't turn into any sort of sour mash or anything like that. So what I have now is the 2012 cold brew, and it has been brewing for more than 24 hours now, and the leaves have completely opened up. There is a lot of shake at the bottom of this thing, and so I do expect there to be quite a bit of plant material in the liquor. But the cake was, you know, it was solid, and I had to break it up a little bit to get it into the bottle. So I'm sure that that had something to do with it, because otherwise it was a solid cake that actually came into like 2 different sheets. It was really interesting, actually, how it came. It was like it was a solid cake, but it had just kind of like flaked off. So this is the solid piece, and as you can see, it's really like flaky, right? So like I can easily just like tear that apart. See, it's already coming off. So really easy to break up. Pretty cake, pretty colors. Again, I don't get anything really on the dry leaf, which is, you know, common amongst pu'ers. If I do find a pu'er that has like a strong aroma, I'll be definitely surprised. So anyway, really excited because this is my first time doing like a side-by-side, so I really don't know what to expect. I'm hoping that it is similar to the 2014, but I don't know. So the reason why I make these videos is because I do want to go back and really figure out what's what. This color is, fairly pale. I can't remember the color compared to the 2014, but it's fairly pale. And again, a lot of plant material, and I think that's partly my fault, but it may have something to say about the quality of the picking too. Okay, so it is very similar to the 2014 in that first sour something just really hits you and you're just like, huh? But I was prepared for it this time. I was prepared for it, so it didn't really knock me back like the last time did. But definitely though, I mean, it is shocking. It is shocking. It's shocking. And then there is some smokiness, and I think this one is a bit smokier than the 2014. Maybe that has to do with the fact that there's so many broken leaves in there. But I like this one, and it's hard to say whether I like this better than the 2014 or if I'm just accustomed to this particular tea, and so that's the reason why my experience with this one is better than my previous experience with the 2014. But again, I do like it though. No bitterness, smoky, kind of sour. I'm not really getting much else. Yeah, no flowers, no fruit. The other thing that's important to mention is with that 2014, I definitely had like this leftover, like it just really coated my my mouth and my tongue, and it stayed with me for quite some time. And I really like that when it comes to the Puerhs. You know, that's what they call the mouth feel, you know. But it's and there's a little bit of sweetness there. It's more in the aftertaste. I can't put my finger on exactly what it is. It's definitely not floral. I don't want to go so far as to say fruity either. And when it comes to sweetness, I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's either flowers or fruit. I don't. Maybe it's a grassy fruitiness, kind of like fresh cut grass, but I've tasted that before. This is not that, you know. Maybe when this tea was fresh, maybe when it was like brand new, maybe it did have that fresh grass sweetness. But now that it's been aged, it doesn't really have that fresh grass sweetness anymore. But there is definitely something there, for sure. And I do want to taste some more, because again, I enjoy this. I really do. I'm not ready to say that it's my favorite, you know, but it's good though. It is good. Very refreshing. Okay, here we go. Almost apples, like a green sour apple, you know, because like I said, there is that definite sour punch in this thing, and there is a hint of sweetness in the aftertaste. You do still have that kind of smoky flavor in there, but yeah, if I had to pick something, I'd definitely say the skin of a sour green apple. What are those? Granny Smiths, yeah. The skin of a Granny Smith apple. All right. So let's move on to the hot brew. See what we can get out of this thing. Now, the 2014, I really had to steep it quite a bit to really get the leaves to open up. And so I'm going to take that approach with this one. And as I'm agitating this water, I'm starting to see a lot of little broken pieces of leaf in this liquor. And so as you saw before, this was just a solid piece of a cake. So these are definitely some broken leaves, which to me means that the quality of the picking and how it was handled was definitely not the best, and doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad tea, but it does mean that it was not handled with a lot of care. I think that's good enough. I don't think I've ever use this much. Brewing or agitating to to rinse a tea, but I think this one really needs it, and it is starting to come apart. It's definitely livened up for sure, but it's still a fairly solid piece of cake. So I'm going to definitely brew this first infusion for quite a long time. So the smell on the leaf is, let's see it, maybe, possibly. Oh wait, I know why. I don't have any lights. There we go. It's fairly green, and yeah, so it's kind of smoky. Again, sort of that grassy tone. So far, I'm happy because it does appear that in fact both of these teas are within the same vicinity of each other as far as taste goes. So that puts to bed the notion that the tea does not taste like where it's from, right? So clearly the tea tastes like where it's from, and so that just means that whatever tea that I do wind up picking means that more than likely I enjoy all of the teas from that particular area, and then it seems like there may be slight differences in the years, and so that may not be such a huge deal, but I do have more of these side by sides to go through to make that final determination. But as of right now, being that this is my first one, sure enough, like I said, both of these teas taste alike. You know, both have that really shocking sour flavor, smokiness, and just a little bit of sweetness, I think. But this one, like I said, I think I like this one better. You know, I really do. And again, hard to say if it's because I'm accustomed to it or if I just really enjoy it. We'll find out with this hot brew, I guess. And I'm using boiling hot water here. I did not notice any real difference in the hot brew with the 2014. When I decreased the water temperature, of course I had to increase the steeping time, and what it did was it did bring out a bit more of the sweetness, but yeah, it's really, but it didn't make a huge difference, I guess is what I can say. But it did come out a bit more sweet. And now these leaves are completely opened up all the way. These are super green, as if they were just picked yesterday. But this is a 10-year-old tea. Yeah, just a typical Puerh aroma, you know. It's kind of smoky, kind of green, but nothing special. All right, this brew is super strong, super dark. I'm going to definitely brew the second infusion much less time to see if it makes a difference, because as I recall, the 2014 was not this dark. Very thick, actually not a lot of plant material, and so that is interesting, but definitely very thick though. You can't even see through it. Wow. Yeah. Okay. So The 2014, it seems like I was able to almost grandpa style this thing. But this 2012 though, you got to be careful. If you brew it too long, it will bite you in the butt. And so there is some real bitterness here, and it's not horrible though. You know, typically I don't like the bitterness that hits the back of my tongue. This one stays right in the middle of my tongue. It sort of touches the sides, but not a lot, but just a little bit. Unfortunately, the bitterness has overtaken the smokiness, and there's absolutely no sweetness at all. So this is definitely overbrewed, no question about it. So let's do a second infusion, and let's brew this thing. Hard to say. I don't want to do a fast infusion because the 2014 was a very weak brew when I did that. So I do want to give it some time, but I guess not too much. And so I don't have a timer that I'm looking at. I'm trying to look at the color of the liquor, and these are fairly small leaves too. There's a few big ones in here, but fairly small leaves. All right, that's long enough. Let's see what we got here. All right, and that one is still. So yeah, so this one is completely different in that I can probably do a really fast brew with this one. Color is something like apple cider. Definitely still on the darker end, definitely darker than the 2014, which again is all interesting to me when you have the same tea from the same place but different years make this much of a difference. I've definitely witnessed that with wine, and so you know, I'm learning that same thing with tea. Okay, so yeah, same thing. It's some smokiness in there, not as sour. Definitely gonna have to let this cool a little bit, but yeah, it's not as sour. Definitely still some bitterness, which I like. Actually, the 2014 seemed, you know, really weak, and I think that also goes to show that it is the material and not the age, because a 2012, even though it's only a couple years difference, is supposed to be more mellow, less bitter than something that is newer, right? You would expect that the 2014 would be more bitter and have more of that fresh green flavor, but the 2012 is the one that packs a punch. Yeah, so again, I cannot say that it's my favorite, but it's not bad though. And so I'm going to lower the water temp and go at this again and see if I can tease out anything more from this tea. Yeah, man, amazing. This 2012, like, it just packs a wallop. I can't imagine what it was like fresh, you know. That's a lot, being that it's, you know, 10 years old. And again, compared to the 2014, like, it's amazing. So anyway, I'll be back. All right, so, okay. So I got the water down to about 155, 150-ish. So I think that's a decent spot to try this. And I'm going to try not to steep this for too long. It seems like one of those teas I'm definitely gonna have to like kind of play around with to find like the perfect temperature and steep time. As you see, the leaves have definitely expanded. They're completely open now and just giving everything that I think they have to give. And so I'm starting to see the liquor change color. So let's go ahead and pour this off. Let's see what we get. And again, I mean, it's 2012, man. It packs a punch. 2014 was like weak. This look how dark this is, and that wasn't even long. So like maybe 15 seconds, maybe. And again, not a lot of play material in here, which I did not expect that. So obviously it's decent picking, even though I did see some broken leaves initially. Doesn't appear to be many of them. So really good job for those who picked this tea and kept it for the last 10 years. See what we get. Yeah, that sourness at 155, it's just, it's shocking. It's just, you don't expect it. You don't expect it. Even when you expect it, you don't expect it. It's weird. It's different for sure. I've definitely tasted this before in other Puerh. There's something about this one though that really takes you aback. I can't remember the name of the one I had before that had that same sour punch, but it was more in line with like a fruit, citrus sourness, right? This one is just like ascorbic acid, you know, where it's just sour, not like it's not coming from a fruit at all. That is really interesting to think that comes from a green leaf, but it's definitely there for sure. The smokiness, it has been subdued because of the water temperature. The bitterness, of course, has been subdued because of the water temperature. Well, I'm not going to say water temperature. I'm going to say this steep time, maybe, because that was a pretty fast brew. But yeah, definitely the sour note is what's prevalent in this tea. So I'm gonna say, because of the shock value, I'm not gonna suggest this for like persons that are new to tea. However, if I have some tea friends, I think I can impress them with this tea. The question is do you tell them beforehand or do you let them experience it for themselves? I think that I think even if you tell them, even if you warn them, I think they'll still be taken aback by the sour punch. And I think that can be something fun to share with those that are accustomed to drinking Puerh. But like the 2014, it does have a tendency to become sort of weak and watery when you are using lower temperatures and shorter steeping times. But again, the 2012 definitely packs way more punch than the 2014 does. But yeah, it is kind of a watery aftertaste, like getting everything up front and then kind of like dies out. And keep in mind too, this is what, like diffusion number 4, so the leaves have of course started to die out a little bit, but it's a good tea. It's decent. It's not bad. Again, you do have that sour note that's definitely there. A little bit of smokiness with longer steeping times. The bitterness is not horrible. It doesn't quite hit the spots that I like it to hit, but not bad. And the cold brew is really good. I'll bite the sour punch. It just takes you aback. Don't warn them. Yeah, I know, right? Just let them experience it for themselves, because it's gonna get you. I promise you. I've tasted a bunch of Puerhs, and this one, for whatever reason, just has like a huge punch. And I think it has everything to do with the actual place. It ain't just the aging. It's not just the year. I think it has everything to do with the actual place that gives it this something. Anyway, that's it for me to you.